Welcome to Charlie's How-To for Homeowners. My name is Bryce with John Stevenson Plumbing, Heating and Air, and today we're going to be talking to you guys about soldering. All right, so first thing, couple things you're going to need when you're going to be soldering. Safety is important, so make sure you have your gloves. You're also going to need flux. There's different brands, different kinds out there. They basically all do the same thing. If you're a professional, you're going to want to find one that you like and stick with it. You're going to need pipe cutters. They come in different sizes, different shapes for different things. Using close to a wall if you don't have room for a big one. You're also going to need fitting brushes to clean your fittings. You're going to need sandpaper, or what I prefer is the open mesh abrasive sandcloth, and that's for cleaning your pipes. And you're also going to need a pipe reamer for opening up your pipe to the full inner bore. And obviously you're going to need your torch. I recommend having a rag, a spray bottle with just some regular water in there. And obviously you're going to need your roll of solder. So first thing, assuming that you've already cut your pipe, whether you're doing a spot repair, changing a water heater or anything of the sort like that. Once you have your pieces cut, you're going to need to clean them off. So again, you can use your open mesh abrasive sandcloth, or if you prefer regular sandpaper, that works too. I prefer this one because when it gets wet, it still works. The next thing you're going to want to do is you have to ream your pipe. It's very important. It can cause turbulence inside once you turn your water back on, which can cause premature leaks, and that's no good. Now you're going to take your fitting, and you can use your fitting brush just like this, and you want to continue to rotate it in the same direction as you use it. You don't want to do a back and forth because that is going to mess up your brush. So today, I'm just going to do this on a couple of 1-inch copper couplings. So I'm going to get my 2 pieces of pipe ready. So what I like to do when I open my flux, I use my brush on lid brush to stir it around and get it from that darker color to kind of this pastier color that we got here. And because you don't want to use too much flux, which can cause runs and drips, and again can cause premature leaks. You just want to get a little bit on there. You don't need a lot, just a nice thin layer. And you want to put that on the outside of the pipe that you're soldering, as well as the inside of the fitting. Now, a couple different positions that you might find yourself soldering in is vertical, or you may be doing horizontal. For this first coupling, I'm just going to do horizontal. They're pretty easy to do. Couple things to keep in mind is, one, you don't want to dump 6 pounds of solder into each joint. That's going to be too much. You're going to have a lot of runs, drips, and you can actually close off the inside diameter of the pipe if it builds up on the inside. I don't like having my solder roll 6 feet out this way. You have much less control over it. So it's a lot easier if you have it extended just past your pointer finger on your dominant hand. Just kind of like this. You're able to push it, and you can control it a lot easier and better than if it's extended out too far. Another important thing to keep in mind when you're soldering is don't have anything that you want to keep or anything that's important or cost you money underneath where you're soldering at, because you will get the flux to drip off. If you have any tools, channel locks, drills, impacts, or anything like that, that flux can damage your tools, and then you got to buy them again, and that's no good. Couple tips when you're soldering: you want to make sure that you're trying to heat the joint evenly all the way around. You don't want to have your flame just in one spot the whole time until it starts to take the solder all the way around. You can burn the flux out, which means your solder won't attach to that particular spot of the metal, which again, premature leaks, you have an unfilled joint at that point. So that's just a quick horizontal solder joint. A lot of people will tell you at this point you can take your flux, wipe it all over there, it gives it a nice shine. The problem with that is a lot of people then don't wipe it off. If you don't wipe that flux off, again, it causes corrosion and oxidization on the outside of the pipe, and we all know that causes premature leaks on your joint. So what I do to clean it up is I get my dry rag, get a little bit of water on it, and I let it cool off naturally on its own for maybe 10 to 30 seconds or so. And then just give it a nice little wipe down. Next, I'll do this horizontal. This is the easiest orientation to solder in because you have gravity working with you. Your solder is going to be going down into the fitting cup, and that's what gravity wants it to do. So again, you're heating up evenly around the entire outer diameter of your pipe and fitting before you start pushing the solder in. Now this one, you'll see it's going to take a lot less time for me to heat this up because I just was using my torch on this side of the pipe. It's already preheated for me. So right now, since it's still hot, my solder is still a bit in its liquid state. It's pretty shiny. Before you wipe it off with a wet rag or get it wet or anything like that, you want to let it kind of gloss over and cool down a little bit. If you cool it down too quickly with water or flux, if you are going to wipe it with the flux when you're done, the temperature change from the hot to cold can cause your newly laid solder to crack. which will cause pinhole leaks and stuff like that when you go to pressurize your system again. So like I said, let it cool off for a little bit on its own. Then you're good to get on there with a rag, spray bottle of water, anything like that, anything non-corrosive. Some people will put dish soap in a spray bottle with some water. That works as well. And what you get when you're done is a nice clean solder joint. All right, so here's a couple things to make sure you stay aware of if you're going to be soldering. First of all, when you solder, your pipe is going to be very hot. I don't recommend touching it or grabbing it, at least until you've given it ample time to cool down. I am a trained professional. I work with this stuff consistently, so I'm very used to the process of doing it. Another thing, have a fire extinguisher readily available for you. I personally am required to have one. I keep 3 in my van for soldering. Can't be too careful with that. You don't want to go burning your own house down trying to fix a simple leak. Also, when you're using your torch, be aware of your orientation. Once you turn this thing on, your flame's coming out. If you're sitting here doing this with it and you don't know what's behind you, you could hurt somebody seriously or even yourself. Also, make sure you're being aware of your surroundings as far as if you're soldering inside of a wall. Maybe you're up in a ceiling. A lot of houses have pipes going across the ceiling. You get up in there, you think, I'm gonna do this. You need to make sure you don't have anything below it that could potentially be damaged, including yourself. If you're soldering up high that's above you, make sure you're not standing directly below it, looking up, squinting your eyes or something like that. You want to make sure you have some sort of safety glasses on, clear the area around where you're going to be working and doing it all. Just proper safety equipment while you're doing it is key. It doesn't matter if it's the first time you've ever done it or you've been doing it for 10 years. Glasses, gloves, fire extinguisher, and you have to treat this with respect. You always have to know where you're pointing this thing when it's turned on. All right, thanks for watching Charlie's How-To for Homeowners. If you have any questions, comments, or tips for us or anything we may have skipped over, feel free to write them in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. You don't want to do like a 3, 2? Do you want me to? Go ahead and do your... I mean, because I don't know when you're actually rolling. Get out the sillies or whatever they call them. Are they lit?